Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome. I think the team in Accra is trying to get the system well set up. I doubt if they can hear me. Hi, good afternoon, Accra. Can you hear me?
Battery for
Hi, good afternoon, Accra. Can you hear me?
I'm in Accra and I can hear you.
Good to know that. So good afternoon, Team Ghana Cocoa Board and CMC. Can you hear me? Well, a very good welcome to all of us that has joined this afternoon. My name is.
The last starts you win. Yes. Okay, bye. Yes, sir. Yes. Just go to the join the meeting. Join the meeting in the middle. You go down. Click on the join the meeting. Next thing. I forwarded it to you. Ghana's readiness. Okay. Oui. Okay.
Good afternoon, Team Ghana Cocoa Board and CMC. Can you hear me?
To come back.
Jules, can you hear me?
Yes, Paul, we can hear you.
Okay, that's good. Hi, good afternoon once again. My name is 𝗦𝗲𝘁𝗁𝗏 with the Cocoa Marketing Company. Apologies for the brief technical hitch, which is usually in our new environment. But most importantly, thank you all for joining us this wonderful afternoon. Relatively brighter in London. I don't know how it looks from wherever you are, but welcome to this very important meeting. And thanks for accepting the invitation within quite a short notice. I wouldn't want to say much. I believe the topic is well explanatory. The buzzword this period is how prepared are we for the European Union Deforestation Regulation. And as a key producer and your key ally, Ghana, we believe that we put in the necessary systems in place to get everybody on board. Hence the essence of this meeting. We are privileged to have in our midst Dr. 𝗦𝗲𝘁𝗁𝗏, who is the Managing Director for Cocoa Marketing Company Ghana. I will quickly hand over to the Managing Director to welcome us all to this meeting. Doc, with your permission, you give us a welcome address. We have a big attendance both from the trading, from traders, from chocolate industry, and across the civil society groups as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Fuad. Am I very audible?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Fantastic. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on wherever you are. I appreciate all of you for making the time for this important meeting. I value our relationship with you, and you are our distinguished stakeholders and our partners. And I really want to just assure you that we will do everything within our control to deepen our relationship and also our collaboration with all of you. So on behalf of Cocoa Marketing Company, both in Ghana and in the UK, I warmly welcome you to this discussion on Ghana's readiness for the EU Deforestation Regulation, which, as you know, it comes into effect on December 30th, 2025. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke to some of you on the important work that we've done so far in preparation and the need for more collaboration among all stakeholders. And I will reiterate the point I made the last time that Ghana is prepared. 95% of our cocoa farms are mapped with GPS. We have 90% of farmer data captured on our cocoa management system, and every bag is tagged and traceable from farm to port. So with this, I can confidently say that Ghana has achieved compliance with all the three pillars of EUDR, that is traceability, deforestation, and also legality. Classified as low risk, giving our stakeholders certainty of supply, and also strengthening our competitive position in global markets. Today, our technical team will walk you through the Ghana Cocoa Traceability System, the progress of the pilot so far, and the process for issuing due diligence certificates. We encourage your active participation and feedback as together we continue building that sustainable and also a resilient cocoa sector. So thank you, and I look forward to a very fruitful discussion with all of you this afternoon.
Thanks so much, Dr. Adogbe. Without wasting much time, I'll call on the Senior Technical Manager in charge of the Cocoa Traceability System, Mr. Faruk Nyame, to give us a presentation on the Cocoa Traceability System. Mr. Faruk, if you can hear me, we'll hand over the mantle to you to take us through. And as we showed in the email, the key expectation we want is, number one, have a broader overview of what has been covered. As MD mentioned, that we believe we've covered 99% of the target areas. We want that obvious in numbers, but most importantly, what has been the process so far, and a live dive into the system, so that our key partners appreciate what sort of system we have put in place. Thank you, Mr. Faruk. You're welcome to take over the spot.
Okay, thank you very much. In the room, we have the entire technical team here. We have our technical team from quality control company here. Cocoa Health and Extension Division is here. We have CMC Trading Room here with us. CMC is also here, IT here, and then the developers are also in the room. So just as we've always been saying, a lot of PowerPoint presentations have been done. So now we'll go live to the applications that are available to us. Then after that, we will then conclude everything with the PowerPoint and updates that we have so far. What we would be expecting is that if you look at the Ghana Cocoa Traceability System, it takes its roots right away from we mapping all the cocoa farms in the country. At times, we put the figure at 99% because we put a figure at 99% because we still have some new farms that are, coming up every now and then. But as it stands now, we have been able to develop a deforestation risk monitoring system where we have assigned all cocoa farms as to whether they are EUDR compliant or not. Once we have that, what we do is that so what we do is that we link the deforestation risk monitoring system assessment that has been done to the traceability system itself. Okay. So, Mike. So what I am putting across is that we've done a lot of work at making sure that we are able to know which farm is compliant and which ones are not. I'm sure you are able to see the benchmarking that had been done. And in the email that was sent by our manager at the UK branch, it comes out clearly that when you look at the top 5 cocoa producing countries in the world, it is Ghana alone that was ranked per the country benchmarking by the EUDR as low risk. That gives us a competitive advantage. I am sure by now we understand what EUDR country benchmarking means. What it means is that when our produce finds itself at the port, only 1% would be sampled and checked. Moreover, when it comes to deforestation assessment and other legality checks, it will not be as stringent as the others. So if you know the location of Ghana on the map, it looks like in West Africa, our only competitor is Togo. And I think Togo is not a competition at all when it comes to cocoa. For that matter, we are standing there with a silver spoon in our mouth already. And we are thinking that as we move on, we are thinking that as we move on, it will be easier with us trading with Ghana going forward. So we just want you to know some of the activities that have been done. When it comes to EUDR, first of all, we have done a pilot at 𝗤𝗵𝘃. Now we chose a district. There are 74 districts when it comes to cocoa transactions in Ghana. And we selected 2 of them, 𝗤𝗵𝘃 and 𝗤𝗵𝘃, and we zoomed in and did a very detailed work, sensitizing, making sure that we are able to uniquely identify each of the farms. There were farm updates, there were system training, a lot had been done. When it comes to barcode tags, for us to be able to uniquely identify each of the farms and carry the traceability information and the EUDR compliant or non-compliant information, we needed to make sure that there is a barcode tag that will carry this information. And that was also received for the pilot exercise. Before that, we had tested our systems at another district that we call 𝗦𝗲𝘁𝘁𝗀. So before the pilot, we knew that a lot of systems had been developed, of which we'll be looking at some of them. And, an implementation or a trial was done at that end. And it comes out that it was also very, very successful. A remarkable event that happened is that after our trial and pilot, we had a delegation from the EU, specifically made up of the Netherlands Embassy, the Switzerland Embassy, GIZ, World Cocoa Foundation, and Cocoa Board, visiting the field. And as you can see in the picture, overall, I think it even came up as a publication, and everybody said that the system that we had put in place was just on point. So And the next slide shows you that if you want to be able to validate, especially the polygon that we have picked on grounds, we had the high delegation from the EU going with us to the field, a farm that had been mapped. They looked at the boundaries vis-a-vis the boundaries of the other farms adjoining, and we also looked at how it interrelates with the forest boundaries and so on and so forth. And in all this, they were very, very happy with the outcomes that they saw. Nevertheless, we also have farmer leadership. We know that farmer cooperatives and their works are also coming up so well. So we had the chief farmer from Central Region joining us in this endeavor, and it all went out well. The next slide is what happened when we were doing the quality control checks. And that, the team from the EU also looked at that. So in all, when it comes to the national rollout, a lot has also been done. But before we go on that tangent, we would want you to know that anytime we undertake certain activities so well, and it comes out that the implementation for the EUDR is postponed, it affects us a lot. So as we can see, February 2024, we had trained our technical field on the staff to be abreast with the requirements of the EUDR, so they take up the task. 1,430 community extension agents were trained. When it comes to QCC staff, 358 were trained. We trained over 3,000 staff of licensed buying companies. That is the private company that we work with. And in all this, these were done on the 3rd March 2024 and ended on the 7th June 2024, all awaiting that EUDR would have started December 2024, which never came to fruition. The disadvantage we are having here is that all these people that we trained have forgotten everything we trained them, because we needed to be doing a refresher. And the issue is that when you even keep on doing refresher courses and the people don't use the live application, they tend to forget. It is also satisfying for you to know that the barcode tags that would be used to make sure that the identity of each transaction is kept until it moves through all the stages of the value chain is also procured, and we have 13.6 million of them. We have currently done some dry runs, and there are some updates we want to share with you. What we have done at the moment is that after trying our systems and piloting the entire operationalization of the system, at the early stages of this year, we selected 8 LBCs, licensed buying companies. What it means is that we've been working with the private companies a lot. So Cargill, 𝗚𝗵𝘰, 𝗐𝗍, CJ, 𝗦𝗂𝘃𝗀, and Agro-Ecom were all selected for us to do a dry run during the light crop season. After that, a second dry run was done with all the 56 remaining LBCs, and that was done between June and August. As we speak now, a national rollout is ongoing when we opened the new season. What we have done so far is that, I have told you we've done a lot of training some time past, but a lot of refresher training has also been done now, and we think that we are ready and the system is running as we speak now. So currently, where we find ourselves, we want to end with the fact that everything that we have done, we have collaborated a lot with the private entities, especially the licensed buying companies. When it comes to our private partners like, IDH, we have collaborated with IDH to do another pilot at Osino and 𝗏𝗏. When it comes to GIZ, FAO, and EFI, everything that we have done with the deforestation risk monitoring assessment and the traceability systems, we have done it with them. And I'm repeating it. FAO and EFI, that is European Forest Institute. When it comes to deforestation risk monitoring system, we did it with them, and they have validated everything that we've done. It comes to the traceability system that we have developed. We have done that with 𝗔𝗱𝗃, and you have seen a high delegation from the European Union joining us in the field to see for themselves what had been done. So there have been a lot of collaborations within internal institutions and external partners. We would pause here, now look at the live applications, and after that, if there are questions, we would pick them up from the participants. So now I think we would move to the live applications.
Thank you, Mr. Faruk. While you are getting ready and also taking us to the live application, I think one key output that we want to see being mentioned are the specific numbers. So what has been the coverage? We say 99% of what? So how many farmers have been covered, how many hectares have been covered, and how many individual farm polygons have been covered? I think these are very important within the context. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So now the statistics. When it comes to total number of farms that are measured, we have 1,239,100. So what it means is that we have gone around individual farm polygons, and that is 1,239,169. Then the total hectarage is 1.4 million. Then the total farmers that we have now, we have 789,000. So what it means is that, and in all this, it is polygons. You see, when it comes to EUDR, it says that if the area of the farm is less than 4 hectares, you just need a geolocation, just a point feature to depict it. But when it is above 4 hectares, then you need a polygon feature. But the amazing aspect of the whole thing is that all our 1.2 million farms that have been captured are all polygons. What this also translates into is that you are able to convert a polygon to a point feature at any point in time. So what it is that we have picked the superior, landmark, and at any time that we want anything that the EUDR expects of us, we are able to do that. So basically, that is what we have done. So in terms of figures, that is where we are.
Thank you for that, Mr. Faruk. So I guess we are waiting to see the live dive of the system or of the processes.
Yes. Okay, so we are sharing our screen at the moment. Okay. So you would agree with me that I had mentioned that we had faked over 1.2 million polygons of cocoa farms, and that is a national system we are talking about. So when we talk about DRM, what it means is that because we're talking about deforestation risk monitoring system, we have the forest boundaries overlaid with our cocoa polygons, and looking at the proximity of the cocoa farms to the forest and criteria that have been agreed by Cocoa Board, European Forest Institute, and Forestry Commission, we come out with which of our farms is EUDR compliant and which ones are not. So currently, as we speak, we are looking at the 𝗤𝗏𝘳 district where we did our pilot. In that, you can see that some of our points, or most of our points, are green. The ones that are green signifies that they are EUDR compliant, and the ones that are yellow, if you look at the edges of the protected forest, of the block green boundaries, it comes out that the ones that are so close to the protected forest have been given a yellow color, which means that, first of all, what it means is that we don't have enough information to tell as to whether they have legally deforested or not, because we are awaiting on data from the Forestry Commission to be able to decide as to whether those ones that have been depicted yellow are EUDR compliant or not. But because we don't have enough information to show, we have decided to put them as non-EUDR compliant. It is good for you to know that in Ghana, there are some portions of our forest areas that belong to certain families and certain, opinion leaders, because those areas were there before the forest areas were gazetted. They are the ones that we are currently seeing as yellow. So now, as we speak, we are waiting on Forestry Commission to bring us the information for us to be able to decide. So the good thing here is, during the presentation, we mentioned that the farms, we color tagged some of them. We have color tagged the farms so that when the farmer is going to transact business with the purchasing clerk, that is the first point of change of custody. If it happens that the farmer has more than 2 farms or has more than a farm, he is able to, simply identify which of his farms that he's bringing his produce from. We have done that to prevent a farmer getting to a purchasing clerk to mention unique identification numbers, which are very lengthy. So that has been done so that when a farmer who has 2 farms is going to a purchasing clerk, he just go there and then declare that, oh, I am bringing my cocoa, this produce from my brown farm. After that, once you go into the system, you are able to see that. So this DRM links directly with the traceability system that has been produced. So from here, once a farmer gets to the purchasing clerk, he or she is now able to, give out his information, and the traceability system will then pick it up because the information from the DRM has been fed into the traceability system. So I would call on 𝗤𝗏𝘁𝘁𝗀 to pick up how the traceability system works up to the depot level. After that, then the QCC manager would also come in and continue with the rest until we get to the port.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Mr. Faruk. So, as Faruk mentioned early on, the DRM dovetails into the purchasing app, which is a mobile application that is used to purchase cocoa to ensure that we have the traceability from the plot of production to the plot of exports. So on the screen is the mobile app that we are using at the society level, at the shed level, to purchase cocoa. And before cocoa purchase can be done, though we have the entire district data, as mentioned earlier, it is important that we understand why we do farmer onboarding. The farmer onboarding is to allow the purchasing clerk to work with only farmers that he or she does business with. And so, and also to make the application very agile and highly responsive, because if you allow the PC to access the entire district data, then it's not going to be responsive. And so, and that's why we do the farmer onboarding. So before a purchase can be done, the PC must do onboarding. And as you can see on the screen, the PC inputted the farmer cocoa card number. That is 50605000. That is the cocoa card number. And this can be done either by inputting it in the farmer search engine, or you scan it via the QR code screen that you see over there. And that will call for the farmer details. And from the left side, that on the screen is where you see the farm. That is the farm location. And so for this particular farmer, he has 2 farms, and all these farms are located in the community called 𝗥𝗲𝗱𝗏. So that's the location of the farm. And the one who won next is the hectare or the hectares for each farm. So the first farm is 0.24 hectares, and then the second the farm is 0.26 hectares. Then the color code. Every farm that has been measured in Ghana has a unique reference number, but that reference number is lengthy and difficult for the farmer to quote anytime he or she is going to transact business at the society or at the shed or at the purchasing clerk's shed. And therefore, these colors have replaced the reference number such that when the farmer gets to the shed, he only has, I'm selling this cocoa from my red farm or my brown farm or my yellow farm. And then the DRM that Faruk talked about early on dovetails here. So you see the trace type. Based on the DRM, we are able to know whether the produce from the farm is sustainably produced or conventional. And so if per the DRM, if the farm meets the criteria for sustainably produced cocoa, you see the trace type as S. And if it does not, you are supposed to see C. But in this case, the trace type for both farms are all sustainable. That's how come we see the S and on the first farm and the S on the second farm, which means that they meet the criteria for the EUDR regulation. And before the onboarding can be done, there's a need to go on and then select the farm. Then once you select the farm, then you save the farmer. And what this does is that it caches the farmer details on the digital device that the farmer is using, the purchasing clerk is using, such that even without internet, the purchasing clerk can perform purchases of onboarded farmers. But then with this particular activity, you need to have an internet to be able to onboard the farmer, and it's a one-time activity. Okay, so having successfully onboarded the farmer, then the next step is for us to do a purchase. So the farmer gets to the PC and then he submits his cocoa card. When the entry is made, then all the farm that the farmer has will come up. And so here, the farmer is selling the produce from one of his farms. So in this case, it's the one with a size of 0.24 hectares. So the PC will select the farm that is performing the transaction on. And then after he has done the selection, then he enters the weight. So in this case, the farmer brought in a full bag, that's 64 kilograms. So after that is done, the PC goes ahead to save the purchase. So after successful transaction, then we move on to the next activity, that is what we call the bargain. As you are aware, the cocoa landscape in Ghana is characterized by small farm holders. And therefore, it's not always the case that a farmer may present 64 kilograms. So they come in bits and pieces, and then they are blocked them together. But then because the blocking is done of the same trace type, it makes it easier to put them in. Also, when you are doing the tagging, the information of all the farmers that contributed to that bag is masked on the barcoded tags. So this is the area where you do the bargain. So we have sustainable and then conventional. So what it means here is that the PC has bought, or the purchasing clerk has bought 493 kilograms of sustainably produced cocoa and 0 conventional cocoa. And so to do the bargain is done automatically. The system does it automatically. So you select the serial number that has been assigned by the district manager to the purchasing clerk. So he selects one, and then we continue to do the saving. So we'll continue to do the saving till we get to a point where we will not be able to get the 64 kilograms. So this is the bagging process. And once the bagging is done, all the farmers who contributed to the cocoa information is also put on the serial or on the tax or the barcoded tax. So per the system, it's also telling that though we have the 493 kilograms, the expected number of bags that we're supposed to do is 7. So after doing the bagging, because we do 64 kilograms, it's left with 27 kilograms. So with this one, we cannot proceed to do another bagging unless you are intentional about it. And so to be intentional about it, you see this yellow icon beside the 27 kilograms. That is on the right side. You click on it, which will allow you to do the bagging of the expected remaining weight. And this happens especially when during the large crop season. Okay, so basically, that is done. So after the bagging is done, then the next process to go through is to do primary evacuation, and this is what will move all the purchase bags to the depot. So before you be able to do the primary evacuation, the DM is supposed to generate a QR code to the driver, and this QR code is to ensure data consistency when entries are being made. So for this one, the PC will not enter the driver's name and then the car registration number is done automatically by the QR code. So immediately the QR code, the driver submit the QR code to the purchasing clerk. He does the scanning, and then the information about him pops up, and then he can proceed with the primary evacuation. So here the PC or the purchasing clerk will select the depot that he's assigning the evacuation to. So this LBC in Ghana called 𝗦𝗲𝘁𝗀𝗶𝘃𝗀, 𝗔𝗱𝗃𝗃𝗃, that's the district's name. And so what it means is that this particular bag tag or cocoa would be received by the depot name called 𝗦𝗲𝘁𝗃𝗃, because in the system, this purchasing clerk had been mapped to that depot. Okay, so then we click on save evacuation, and immediately evacuation is saved. It doesn't end here. We must sync it with the server for the next chain of custody to receive the bag or the primary evacuated cocoa. So for the next chain of custody to receive that cocoa, there's a need for us to upload the data that we have evacuated. So that's the next action that we are going to take now. All right. So each chain of custody, we do have a mobile app application or a web portal that takes care of one portion or one strand of the traceability to ensure that we preserve the integrity of the cocoa along the value chain till it's exported out of the country. So after we've done the primary evacuation, then the next action to do is to go to the LBC's portal, and everything that we did at the PC level is seen by the district manager. He has some bird's eye view of whatever that is being done. And so when we move to the shed and you go to purchases, when you go to purchases, all purchases that have been done by purchasing clerks that work with the district manager are seen here, and then the quantities, and then the PC who did that particular transaction, and then the date. Every information is captured and is seen by the district manager. So this also gives the district manager some kind of bird's eye view on his operational activities. And same after the purchases, same for the bagging, and also same for bagging to the information that's every action that is taken at the district is also seen. As you can see, non-evacuated bags. When we click on it, we can see all bags that have been bagged and yet to be evacuated. And then we also see out of the non-evacuated bags, the number of bags that have been evacuated is also shown on the district manager's portal. And every information is also seen here, and it's also divided into the trace type. We have the sustainable and conventional. So at any point in time, you know the number of sustainable products that you're receiving or conventional cocoa that you're receiving into your warehouse. And then the primary evacuation it also gives the opportunity to see the expected number of cocoa that is being evacuated to your depot or your warehouse. And so this much an enhancement from the manual operations that we are used to. And then when the cocoa gets to the depot after the the primary evacuation has been done and then upload is done. Then at the depot, there's the need to do reception. So what means that the reception allows you to receive the cocoa into your stock or into the warehouse. And so you see all the trucks that have been dispatched to undertake the primary evacuation. So over here, you see the truck registration number and the number of bags that they brought or they are supposed to evacuate into the into the warehouse. And so this is the reception details. So on the reception details, we have the dispatching piece, that is the purchasing clerk that is dispatching the cocoa, the evacuation date, the driver's name, the truck number, then other information that's the purchasing clerk, inputted on the app, and then the list of bags on the trucks. So these are the serial numbers and then the goods that came to the depot. And then after reviewing them, then the depot keeper will receive them into stock. And then from there, they can then go ahead to apply for grading and sealing, which the QC officer will receive the application, request for application via the system. So this time around, the request is done electronically, and everything is done from the depot manager's portal. So once the application is done, QC takes charge of the request, and then they detail out inspectors to come and do the inspection. So at this particular point, I will end here. There's a quality control manager here who will take over the mantle and continue with the process. So Michael, over to you as to what is done after the application is done.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. Good morning, good evening.
Mike, before you come in, Fuad here. Thank you, Sam. We just want to make a point that the participants we have cut across, that they are not all LBC operatives or traders who have a very good understanding of the operations of the LBCs. So just to give some clarification, when we say primary evacuation, it means the movement of the cocoa from the farm level or farm gate level to the district level where the LBC is sort of aggregated. And if you listen carefully to the explanation that Sam gave, we have put in place a system which is not only handled by the cocoa board, but largely being operated on by the private sector players. So the first point of data entry is handled by the licensed buying company agent within the community level. That is at the first point of purchase. Now the system is also accessible to all LBC operatives. Beyond the fact that it provides some traceability to the cocoa, it also speeds up the operations of the LBCs by making sure that every purchase at the district or the farm gate level can easily be viewed or is easily accessible by someone seated either at the district level or even at the head office level for monitoring purposes. So just a quick clarification, what Sam has done is to show us the first mile of purchases. That is what is being purchased at the farm gate level, then move through the private evacuation to the district point. Now that is the first point of contact with the quality control company or cocoa board. They come in to ensure that or do the quality assurance checks for that cocoa. And that is what the quality control manager will take us through. It is important to do this so that our participants who are not within that primary operational space will have a broader understanding of the system.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fuad. So, like it was rightly stated earlier on, where we've got to is at the point where quality control comes in. And like Sam mentioned earlier on, what you are seeing on the screen is how applications come into quality control for us to proceed to inspect the cocoa and ensure that whatever cocoa we are going to subsequently evacuate to the ports meets our standards. So once this application is done by the licensed buying company, quality control would assign an inspector
also through the system to go and inspect those particular bags that have been applied for. I wouldn't want to bore you with the technicalities of how the application goes and all, but then once that inspection is thoroughly done, we generate a certificate for them. That certificate is what we call a purity certificate to confirm the results of the inspection that was done. That certificate can be viewed, once it's completed, can be viewed by the LBC on their web portal. And that's what you are seeing on your screen. So once the inspector completes his work, he will generate a certificate electronically, which can also be viewed from the license buying company's portal. And that's what you are seeing on your screen. So that certificate confirms to anybody that, okay, this particular parcel, which is in the depot, has actually been inspected. When you go to the depot physically, you see markings on the bags. Example, you see grade marks, you see lot numbers, as well as seals, which confirm that, yes, those cocoa bags have actually been inspected. Once that is done, the license buying company would also apply again electronically for them to evacuate the cocoa through what we call the secondary evacuation. You recall that we mentioned primary evacuation, which is from the society level to be aggregated at the depot level. Now, once inspection is done, we'll have to proceed to evacuate the cocoa from the depot level to the takeover centers, which are the ports. So they would have to apply through the system as well for secondary evacuation. Once they do, we go in there to ensure that the cocoa we inspected earlier on is the one they are evacuating, and it's also still in good shape before they evacuate the cocoa. In fact, it's also important to mention that once they evacuate the cocoa, while the cocoa is in transit, we also ensure that nothing adverse happens to the cocoa. Per the procedure, if anything could happen to the cocoa, for example, during transit, there's an accident, they are supposed to first of all contact the quality control company for us to come in and ascertain that we are salvaging the bags. If, for example, there is spillage during the accident, we want to ensure that we are not mixing cocoa that is sustainable with cocoa that is conventional. For that reason, as part of the standard operating procedure, quality control has to come in and ensure that of every bag happens until the cocoa terminates at the takeover center. At the takeover center, the CMC takes over as the first point of call, where they will have to receive the cocoa through their operations management system to confirm that the cocoa that was evacuated is what they are receiving at the port. Once they do that, then they will schedule again for quality control to come and do our second tier inspection. At this point, it's important for me to mention that as quality control company, we operate a three-tier inspection procedure or three-tier inspection system, where our first is what happens at the depot center, upcountry, or at the district level. The second inspection system or procedure is what happens at the point of receipt at the takeover center, where we want to be sure that the cocoa we inspected at the depot level is what is being received at the port in terms of its standards, in terms of the quality of the cocoa and everything that has to do with its quality assurance. So once we determine that and we are sure that the cocoa we are receiving at the takeover center is of good quality, we also allow for the cocoa to be received by CMC, and then they stack the cocoa awaiting shipment or final evacuation to our off-takers. So that's the second tier inspection procedure we adopt. Now, once we have advice or we have a contract for that cocoa to be evacuated to our off-takers or our clients, quality control company comes in again to do our final checks or inspection, which is the third tier of our inspection procedures. Now, the procedures are also still the same. We are going through the same procedure we went through at the first and second point, all to be sure that the cocoa is of good quality and is of the international standard acceptable by our partners. Once that is done, then our work and the cocoa in itself is evacuating. It's important to also indicate that all the processes I've spoken about are done through the system. So applications will always come in through the system. We'll go and do our inspection, also finish and report the inspection results through the system. At every point of the inspection, once it's done, we generate a certificate for our clients, be it licensed buying company or CMC at the point of inspection. So that's basically what quality control also does in respect of the traceability system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. So what it means is that at least at the upcountry, at the district level, we have our officers available to make sure that whatever transactions that have gone through the live system, digital system, we have officers who would physically go there to inspect, because they would have also had the information from the digital system, and they go to the actual product and inspect as such. So now that the cocoa has reached the port, the takeover center, we would also show application of what transpires there until we generate a report, a due diligence report that can be used by the off-takers to fill the EU online form. Okay, so CMC can share the screen and also take us through how it links up to them. So as CMC is coming through, what we have just said is that at the first point of change of custody, the LBC is there. It carries it out until it gets to the depot. QCC comes in to inspect it physically. Then before it gets to the port, we also have an officer from cocoa marketing company who would also inspect everything before the cocoa enters the port. And now the application is ready for us to see how CMC also takes over.
Okay, thank you. So from CMC's end, we have our system in place already. It's been integrated with the GCTS system. So all trucks coming from various districts, we are able to receive them and they are traceable information. So what you are actually seeing is live data we use. So we have all the serials which we receive in our system here. The trucks go and offload the cocoa, and at the point of offloading, we are able to scan each bag and put them on our stack. So with that, we complete the first leg of traceability at the port. That is taking over the cocoa. When there are discrepancies and other stuff, we QCC and hand with CMC. We have our protocols in place which we deal with. I'd also show you the mobile application we use when we are scanning out. And at the scanning out area, when we are having evacuations, I'll show you how the due diligence reports are generated. And then we'll pick it from there. So question, okay. So we can take questions about as we set up.
Top left.
Which of them is what I want to share? Okay.
Go back to the chat.
Green is black. Okay.
Okay, so as we have some few questions to look at and answer them. Is the system blocking farms and farmers based on yield limits and control? That is yes. What we are doing is that we know the yield limits of the farms in Ghana, and that is information is with the Research, Monitoring, and Evaluation Department. Because of that, we have fused it in the systems that we have done. Immediately, you bring in cocoa exceeding the yield limits of your cocoa farm. Immediately, it is flagged. I'm sure getting to the end of the presentation, we will show you a dashboard that flags any cocoa that goes outside the yield estimate that is earmarked for it through research and monitoring. Because of that, yes, there's a control. You know, what we should all know is that we have built a very robust national system that is able to control cocoa that is coming from unknown origin. So if it happens that your yield limit exceeds the limit that is given you, then we would have to now investigate and find out. For all you know, you are engaging in some good agronomic practices lately that needs commendation, and for that matter would increase your productivity. If that is the case, yes. Other than that, then you would have questions to answer, and it has its repercussions, and I think that will be taken on by management. Same way, if it happens that there is a yield expectation of your farm, and you bring far lower yield than expected, that also calls for concern. And for that matter, that yield and that farm will be flagged for us to make a follow-up and find out exactly what is happening on your farm. So it is perfect that we have a system to control yield limits. The bag tag are RFI tags or paper. It's a barcoded tag. It is barcoded. Okay. So thank you very much. We will continue
just a quick clarification again. So we need to be clear that the system does not block any farmer. Okay, and amber is raised. It flags it, yeah, for extra scrutiny. But the system captures all farmers within Ghana, whether they have the ID. And I think one of the points that we should have made at the start was that in the event that the mobile app system to capture the data has a hitch at the beginning, there's a paper-based backup to ensure that within the first few months or year, there's a go with both a paper-based system and a mobile application-based system. But so the question again, farmers are not marginalized out of the system. All farmers' records are captured within the system. However, in the event that a farmer who has, let's say, 2 hectares of cocoa farm is bringing in a lot of cocoa for sales, and we realize that this is an abnormal yield level, the system flags it and then scrutinizes it to make sure that it is not cocoa that is being smuggled in. So that it needs to be clear. That is a control system, and not that farmers are blocked from the system.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we continue for the CMC application.
Okay, so from CMC's point of view, we take over cocoa, we scan them onto our stacks, and at the point of evacuation or shipments, we scan them out of our system and generate due diligence references, which contains all the geolocations attached to them. So what you see on your screen now is at our depots or at our sheds, when we prepare our documentation, we do entries of them and we are able to generate the due diligence references, which will give you a portal for you to access the geolocations and GeoJSON files involved. So this is it. And the app we use for scanning is also available. We can show you that one, and then we complete this session at CMC's end.
Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can just share the screen again so that you pinpoint something clearly for us to all understand. This is live information. So go back to the screen. You look at the first one. So this is cocoa that is coming into the 𝗘𝗨𝗃 shed, if I'm correct.
Yes.
So let's take the first one and give example of exactly what sort of data is being captured in there. I can see the date has been 8th of September 2025. So let's have that just as an example.
Yeah, so as an example, we know we are servicing particular MKs and contracts with and issuing waybills from a particular shed. So you see the basic information there. And because we are doing traceability at CMC to the stack level, we scan in bags when we take over cocoa, and we scan out bags when we evacuate cocoa. So when we scan out our bags, we are able to generate due diligence references based on certain criteria. At every instance, cocoa is coming in and cocoa is going out. So this due diligence reference you see is like a snapshot of the cocoa captured at that time on our stacks. And when you access this reference, it's going to give you all the geolocations that were on that stack at that particular time. So that is what I'm showing you here. What is it? Okay.
That is fine. Well, wish you mentioned specifically that if you look at the first item, this is the type of cocoa that has come in. It's a special cocoa.
Yes.
This is the date that it came. This is the volume.
EUDR compliant.
EUDR compliant. Yeah. Exactly. Just use that one as an example.
Okay. So for this MK, for 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 Ghana factory, we are servicing the contracts you see, the contract number you see there, which is AJ25032500607. And when we do all our processes, we issue waybills from our shed that we are taking the cocoa from. So you can see the waybill number there. Okay. You can see the waybill number there. Then when QCC does their checks, they issue purity certificates for the cocoa going out. So you see we capture the details there as long as they have done their work. We also have the quantity we are evacuating at that particular shed. And we have the specialty of the cocoa, the client is servicing, and then the category of cocoa we are servicing. When we scroll further, we are giving you the details at the stack level. So from a stack that we have at the shed, we are able to tell you the quantity that we took out of that stack and generate due diligence references for each of them. Now, we'll keep this waybill number, we'll keep this waybill number we have here in mind. And I'll show you how we scan out in our mobile applications on the field. Is it clear as at now? Okay.
Yes, easy. Yes, well, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a question that came in, Mr. Faruk, that whether we have every single bag have a barcode tag and a scan. Yes, so every single bag has a barcode and it's a scan. And that is something that starts from the LBC?
Yeah, from the purchasing clerk. So what the presentation that we've done, that is the first point of change of custody. Once the farmer sells the cocoa to the LBC, the purchasing clerk at the shed, he or she bags it. By bagging, it means that when you have 64 kg of cocoa beans, you put it in one cocoa sack. Immediately you put it in the cocoa sack at 64 kg. Then you would have to tag it. You would have to append the tag to it. So each bag, yes, it is correct. Each bag is tagged, and that is what is done. We know that there is another leg of declaration in excess, but we haven't explored that one yet. So currently, as we speak, we tag each of the individual bags. That is what we are doing.
Right, and I think it's important to also mention that in the case of Ghana, jute bags are supplied by the cocoa board. So all jute bags that are supplied to each LBC comes with its accompanying tags. Faruk, I hope that is correct. I've not forgotten that.
That is perfectly correct. That is perfectly correct. So what it means is that because the jute sacks are given out by cocoa board, the same procedure that the jute sacks are given out, we follow the same to give out the tags as well, because each sack is to be accompanied with a tag. And it is the same procedure that we use.
Share them.
Thank you.
Share them. Okay. So the app you see on your screens now are live applications we use for scanning in and scanning out our bags from the system. So if you recall the way bill we saw, we are able to select it in the system, and it's going to give us the details we have. Now, using our industrial scanners, we are able to select the stack we are scanning out and scan our barcode out of them. So this is something we have, and it's working, and we are using it on the field as we speak right now. So this brings us to the end of my presentation. The various due diligence references generated from this system is then sent to Cocoa Board, and we are able to get the GeoJSON files and the GeoJSON information you would require to present to the EU. Thank you. Okay.
Okay. So now when the DDR reference number, that is the due diligence reference number, is generated, then it helps us to now generate a report that would accompany all documentation that is given out by cocoa marketing company. So those of us who are well abreast with the EU online form, you would know that as part of the areas to look at, the commodity itself is there. You would have to describe it. There is HS code and the tonnage that is going. So just as you can see under the dates, there is a reference number, the one that was generated by, CMC. So the reference number is there. Then the operator's information is also on the due diligence report. The supplier information, that is the name and the address, is also there. We go through, a statement to describe how we got our deforestation-free products. And that is described there, trying to tell you that deforestation assessment was undertaken using a methodology developed by Ghana Cocoa Board, Forestry Commission, EFI, and so on and so forth. That is done. Then as part of it, we also mentioned how we come about our legality statements, because EUDR has 3 legs. The geolocation aspect or the traceability aspect, the deforestation free, and then the legality. So then we also make a statement on legality that we have taken care of legality. and then we make a statement on geolocation and the product information. So here, even information that happened at the warehouse is taken care of, and you would have an overview of, where the cocoa that we are selling to you has been sourced from. Earlier on, you realize that there was a QR code that was seen. There is also a URL beneath the reports. Normally, there is a URL, yes, that is beneath the report. Either you scan or you click on the URL, and that would send you to Okay, so as you can see on the screen, once you click on the URL, okay, so once you click on the URL or the QR code, it brings you to a location where you'll be able to have access to your geolocations. You are then able to export it in a GeoJSON format. And after that, all the necessary information that would help you to be able to fill the EU online form is done. So this is how the package that we have put together, comes to you. Once you have it, you will be able to have all the necessary information that you need to do that. But if it also happens that you would want to do an assessment, because you would agree with me that Article 9 says that you would have to acquire all this data, the data that you need to be able to fill the due diligence report, the online due diligence statement is what we have given you. Meanwhile, you are also supposed to do your own assessment. So if you would want to do your own assessment, you can come to us, or we can also share the same link with you again, so that all the processes that the cocoa had gone through until it's reached the port of shipment, you have access to those informations. Another good thing is that you would also know that EUDR, states that the reference map that you are supposed to use it for monitoring. Those of us who would want to do the Article 10 on our own, that we have the data for Article 9, Article 10, we want to do the assessment. All the information that you would need to be able to do your assessment is also available. The reference map is supposed to be generated as of December 2020. The good thing is that the data that we are giving you, the shape files, is that okay? The GeoJSON file that we are giving you as an attribute, there is also the year of establishment. So that if it happens that the product that you are having has not caused any legality by encroaching into a protected forest, then it means it is good. When you also look at the year of establishment, and it is before December 2020, then it means that you are good to go. It is satisfying to know that as we speak now, we are generating a forest non-forest mask for the deforestation-free aspect of the EUDR. That should be ready by September 2025, as we find ourselves. By the end of this month, that would be ready, so that it will help us monitor how our cocoa is faring when it comes to deforestation-free aspects. So in the nutshell, this is the product that we have. Just as it was said, all these things are now, all these things are now live. You see, we opened the cocoa season in August, and I think we are about a month through. So all these demonstrations that we have done, most of them are not, we do the demonstrations, we don't upload, because we are using a live system. And immediately you upload whatever presentations we have done, it will affect our record. So as we speak now, a lot of transactions have happened, and we have done 53,212 purchases. In total, we have recorded 14,157 tons.
Mr. Faruk, can we leave that out?
Okay, so
Yes,
go to the people that are this. Okay, so what we are saying is that everything that we are doing now is live, just as you have seen it in the snapshot. And so we have tested the system, we have piloted it, we have tried it, we have done a test and a demo to the Netherlands competent authority. And in fact, we have received responses and we are very, very comfortable that the system that we have is correct. The good thing is that our ability to segregate, EUDR compliant cocoa from non-EUDR compliant cocoa, once you go to the takeover centers, we have earmarked sheds, warehouses, purposely for non-compliant cocoa. And because we know that in Ghana, on the whole, about 95% of our cocoa is EUDR compliant. Because of that, we have earmarked some few warehouses for non-compliant cocoa, and the majority is for the compliant cocoa. And now for us, as we speak, we are very, very confident to tell you that we are now ready. At the beginning of the season, there were a lot of inflows. So you could hear Mr. Fuad telling you that we combine paper trail and the system. Yes, that is perfectly correct. So we have combined it perfectly, and now the system has stabilized. So we are going back to make all processes now go through the digital system. On this note, I think that this is what we present to you, and this is what our system is able to do. It's a national one. Because of that, cocoa from unknown origin becomes very difficult for it to enter our system. And also, cocoa from our own origin, moving from our system to another origin is also very difficult because we are monitoring from both sides, and we are very, very, very interested in that. On that note, thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mr. Faruk, and the whole technical team for the insightful presentation. I think one thing that comes out clear is that a lot of work has been done from the farmer level up to the point of export. And the difficult part of the job was the primary data collection, covering over 1 million farmers and nearly 800,000 farmers and over 1.2 million hectares of cocoa farm. That requires a huge investment to be able to do that. The advantage that we have as Ghana is that the Cocoa Board, through other partners, made this investment to collect all these data. Comparatively, it is a pockets of data or data collected in silos in different origins, and that makes us a bit unique. And Faruk, I'll go back to you. I think about a week or so or a month ago, we communicated the fee for the EUDR certification. So if you can briefly touch on that, so that we go to questions and answers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Looking at the very extensive work that has been done, you would agree with me that the initial cost is very high. We have done so much, bringing so many actors together just to make sure that we are able to meet the European Union Deforestation Regulation. Mind you, it is not every data that you put on the European portal, IT portal, that is accepted by them. I have already mentioned, because of what we have done initially, it comes out clearly that because of our efforts, because of what we have done, if you look at the commodity chain, how it is structured, I'm telling you how we came about, getting the low risk as a country benchmark. We have done a lot of work. looking at deforestation rates, looking at how short our value chain is. If you look at it from the farmer, it moves to LBC, then it just moves to cocoa board and it is shipped. So just a 3-tier approach. All these things have been put together, and now it is easier for you to source cocoa from Ghana than any of our top 5 competitors. As much as your cocoa will be keeping so long at the takeover center or at the port, waiting for clearance from the EU before it goes, our waiting time would be so short because only 1% of our data would be sampled and looked at, whilst other jurisdictions, 3% and 9% will be taken a look at. So just as you can see on the screen, annual charge for our fixed cost. When we talk about fixed cost, we're talking about internet, we're talking about IT infrastructure, we are talking about the GIS systems that we use, the remote sensing devices, all the administrative resources that were required. We have done a 5-year cost benefit analysis. And because of that, the total cost for fixed assets, we put it at 32 million as an annual charge. If you look at, building the traceability systems, just as we have demonstrated online right now, the cost that is associated with it is 1.8 million. You would agree with me that we have put together a team that has been working on this for the past 3 years. Our salaries. Now, when you go to the district, those LBCs that are here with us, they would agree that now our presence is so felt on the ground. When you go to Cocoa Health and Extension Division, all our 1,400 cocoa extension agents are helping us to update our data so that it is always current. When you go to QCC, they have given us staff to be monitoring almost everything that we are doing right away from the purchasing clerk until we get to the depot. You get to the port, a whole lot of work is being done there. So there is a fee for us as salaries. I mean, those of us who are working on this, and that goes as that. We have recurrent costs, and that one is data subscriptions, maintenance, operations, refresher trainings, and so on and so forth. So that also comes to 19 million a year. So when you look at the entire cost in terms of euro, that is about 54 million euros. That translates to 59 million USD. That is to give us a holistic system that would comply with the EU so that our cocoa does not go and then come back. That is not what we are expecting. And we are thinking that once we have done a trial to the Netherlands Competent Authority, that should be good to go. Because of the holistic approach, you would agree with me that for the past 5 years, Ghana's production has been hovering around 500,000, 600,000, 450-something thousand. Then we go to 710,000. So when you look at cocoa exports, they admit what? So when you look at our cocoa exports for the past 5 years to the EU markets, it is 249,874.20 tons. For that matter, if you look at our costs and you look at the cocoa that is shipped to the EU markets, it comes out that our cost per ton is 238.94. Currently, as it stands, management has decided that no, I mean, at the initial stages where the investment is so high, we shouldn't slap all the $238.94 on, the off-takers, the buyers that would fill the online due diligence statement. We should slash it to 200 so that with time, as and when, the initial cost, goes down, then we will be able to look at how best we'll be able to treat this amount. But as it stands now, and looking at the robust system that has been done, and looking at the number of people that have been put in place to be able to come out with this, the kind of man hours and delays that comes as a result of this particular exercise. You can imagine at the takeover center, there are carriers, those who carry cocoa onto the truck and bring it back into the warehouses. Now that you need to scan in and scan out, what it means is that their man hours are increased. And you can imagine if you are there with us, it is another game altogether. You know, instead of them spending an hour to offload a cocoa on one truck, now it takes them 2 hours to do that. Who pays for the extra hour? In all this, we are doing this so that at the end of the day, our cocoa becomes very attractive on the EU market, because around 60% of our raw beans is put on that market. And when we are not involved in this, it becomes very difficult for us to go through the tangent that we are doing. It is for that matter that we bring to you, you know, an amount that has been agreed by management of Cocoa Board, that any off-taker that wants data from us, if it happens that you think that you are an off-taker, you want to put your cocoa on the European market, and you want data from us, you pick it at $200 per ton. So, Mr. Fuad, this is where I'll bring the discussions to. If okay, so what it is that we also have another cost for external audit of the GCTS and assurance to the buyers. That has not even been factored in here yet. So what it means is that we are absorbing a lot of the cost as well. So on this note, we'll be hoping for your questions and we'll answer them. I am very sure that the ones that came through the chat box, we have made justice to them. How is the people from the farmer flag treated until investigation is concluded? Okay, so immediately, now immediately we go into it and then know what has happened. You know, currently in our system, we have seen some flag. Immediately, management made us do an investigation. It came out that because they were expecting, you know, a price increment in the cocoa, they had kept some of the cocoa that they bought, you know, about a year ago, and some of the farmers had also kept some of their cocoa. Because of that, when we opened the system, the new season, it started flowing in. And when you look at the numbers and comparing it, it makes a lot of sense. So as for the investigation, immediately we see it, you know, that is how come we need a lot of staff. That is how come I have told you we have 1,400 community extension agents scattered across all the cocoa growing districts. So that immediately we see it, you know, there is a team at the head office in conjunction with management. We go in to know the reason. If it doesn't make sense, what it means is that that cocoa now becomes EU non-compliant, and then we treat it as such. So that is the answer to that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, our cherished stakeholders. It's time for questions, and so we welcome questions from any stakeholder at this moment.
There's a hand up.
Okay. Yes. All right, Francis.
Yes. So Francis here from which cocoa?
From
Niche cocoa.
Yes. So I have a question on the flagging process. I think in the presentation you indicated that at the bagging, I think station, the buying station, you actually compare if I get you right, the yield limit to the quantity that a farmer will present. And if you observe that the quantity exceeds the yield limit, you flag it. The same thing applies to far lower yield limit. What I wanted to know is what goes into it then. You also confirm that you don't block the farmer in this case. So what happens? Does the process continue whilst you look into it? And if it continues, are you receiving it as EUDR compliant? I mean, I want some more clarity on that.
Okay. So what I have stated is that, you know, the purchases, the cocoa purchases, you would agree with me that it is done at the shared level with the purchasing clerk. You know, so that is the stage. There is an officer of the licensed buying company that is at a particular location closer to the farmers. So when the cocoa is bought by our application, immediately we see it. And what goes on is that any cocoa that is sold by that farmer is aggregated. So we see it. When we are thinking that it is far above our yield limits, I have told you, there are community extension agents that are closer by. They also interface with the farmers. So we tend to ask questions to the purchasing clerks and the farmer so that we see whether the explanation that they are giving falls in line. So if it happens that I have a hectare of a cocoa farm and I produce 1,000 kilograms per hectare, immediately I bring irrigation to that field. There is a high probability that it will either triple or quadruple. So if there is an investigation that states that, oh, his produce has doubled because he has engaged in this activity and that activity, then we go and inspect, and that is the case. Then at least we are so sure that that is a good one. So that is the kind of investigation that we do. But going forward, we have just started. We have just started a month ago. And we have had a very good explanation to the very few ones that exceeded the margin slightly. So what we are saying is that going forward, if you don't have enough information on the cocoa product to indicate that it is EUDR compliant, then automatically it is EUDR non-compliant. So until we are able to get enough information to tell us that everything that was done is justifiable and correct, then it would have to be non-compliant until we have further information. So that is what it is. But we investigate immediately through our field people. That is what I am saying.
Okay. All right. I had.
Okay, so is
payment going to be?
Is payment going to be mandatory and accompanying MKs on all EU destination based or optional based on request invoice from off-takers? Please. It is when you want data for EUDR from us. And as far as I am concerned, you know, immediately the cocoa enters our takeover center, it is out of reach to everybody. So as to which of the bags will go out, it is the, you know, prerogative of Cocoa Board to know. So what we are saying is that if it happens that you need the data, no, for all you know, your cocoa, you will not be sending it to the EU market. So if you don't apply for data, no, we don't have any issue with that. But we will still keep that data for you so that when you go and come back, we would make it available to you. As to whether there will be a slight penalty or not, that will depend on the magnanimity of the management of Ghana Cocoa Board. But what we are saying is that for us, as far as we are concerned, we are keeping the records of every bag that is produced. But as to whether you would come for it or not, that one depends on you. But when you go and come back, we would renegotiate.
So there is another question there. How is the EUDR non-compliant beans going to be handled? Will it be sold or not?
It is very good that you are just telling me that EUDR non-compliant. EU means European Union. So if it is EUDR non-compliant, of which I have told you, that is in the minimum. That is about 5% of what it is. So anybody who wants cocoa, that will not go to the EU. It means it will be made available to that person until we find solutions to curb that non-EUDR aspect of that particular farm. And let me tell you, in Ghana, our non-EUDR compliant, it's not like they've committed any crime. It is just that there are admitted farms. There are farms that are legally supposed to be at where they are, but we have not had information from the Forestry Commission to back that up. That is how come we are putting them in that middle section. So today, you would know that this one, because we haven't had enough information, it is EUDR non-compliant. But tomorrow, when we receive those information from the Forestry Commission, and they have records to show that where they are supposed to be there, then why not? You know, their level will change to compliance, and then we'll bring it. But currently, the cocoa can be sent to any place that is not EU at the beginning. But we'll put in steps to make sure that we kept that going forward. The chat.
Okay, so we have a Mr. 𝗦𝗁𝗁𝗁𝗁 for the next question.
Okay, thanks so much, Faruk, for the great presentation. I know very well during all the engagement we've had since last year, certain concerns were put across, like the cost that will be incurred by LBCs, for example, in procuring gadgets and other logistics to be able to make input to the system. Have you been able to sketch out how you're going to share this cost per ton with the different stakeholders who are contributing to developing the system? That is the first question. Then the second question I have is more of a proposal. This is a great system that now and also into the future is going to address traceability holistically, looking at African regional standard and all that. It's going to serve the industry. We are looking at 600,000 metric tons on average as of today. So will it also be prudent to look at, instead of looking at the volume entering only the EU market, you are considering the volume entering the entire global market, because there are volumes that will pass through Asia and still end up in the EU market, or go through America and end up in the EU market. So how are you also looking at that holistically?
Okay, thank you very much. So as we speak now, the policy that has been developed by management has a percentage for all LBCs that have made inputs into acquiring tool of trade for this traceability system. So there is a percentage to that. It is a very good one. I am sure we'll communicate that one to you very soon. Nevertheless, new management is even saying that, you see, when it comes to the farmer, of which everything that we are doing hinges on the cocoa farmer, they are also going through steps to color tag their farms. They are going through steps to make sure that they segregate cocoa from each of their farms, if and only they have more than a farm, and so on and so forth. When it comes to fermentation, drying, in all these stages, they are supposed to be separating cocoa from different farms. When they are even going to sell their cocoa, they still separate. Management is also saying that a percentage is supposed to go to them. I have seen the percentage before. It is just that, you know, it is, I can't remember it as of now, but we would implore on management. I don't want to quote any percentage that will not be what is in the document. But as far as I am concerned, a very good, you know, percentage is for you, and that would come up. And the farmers also have a percentage to take, and I think that is good. Okay, so then thank you very much for your suggestion that we should look at the entire volume that is being shipped outside. Yeah, we take a look at that. So that one is like a risk. Maybe when it goes, it will enter the EU market. Okay, we would have to now, you know, implore research department to now tell us that when you put like 20 tons of cocoa outside the EU market, how much comes back to the EU, so that we'll be certain. But until we are able to maybe contact, you know, research and then get that figure, we would stick to this. But we will do that immediately and make sure that our denominator is bigger, and that would also help us going forward. Thank you very much, Mr. Jamnan. We've been with you along all the journey. Thanks a lot. We are grateful.
All right, so we take the next question from Stella.
Yes. Okay,
Hello.
so I understand that there is a question as to whether the conventional cocoa, the non-EUDR cocoa, are traceable. Oh yes, they are traceable. That is how come we know they are EUDR non-compliant. What it means is that the allocation is known to us, and by the allocation, that is what makes them non-EUDR compliant. So yes, we know the location of that. Will DDR be part? No, last one. Will DDR be part of the way bill and other documents, or based only on request? It will be based on requests. The DDR would be based on request. So currently, as we speak now, we have 2 LBCs that have made a request that when we are sending their cocoa to the factories, we should add DDR to them. And so now, because we have not concluded on the entire conversation, we are only giving them the due diligence report reference number, so that when the DDR follows, then it matches for them to do their work. So we will keep the DDR information until you request for it. Can LBCs doing sustainability have access to the polygons? How much will it cost? Oh no, when you pay for the DDR, you would have access to the polygons of the cocoa that you are shipping. So that one costs, you are the one that will fill the online due diligence statement. So if we keep the polygons, we will not be able to use it. So we will give it to you. That is what would happen. So you would have access to it.
Let's
Hello, Simon.
yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. So Stella, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon, and thanks for the elaborate explanation. I wanted to know, and I guess it has come up in several other questions on the CMC part that was touched. If you can have sort of a conclusive elaboration. So you are either shipping outside or we are bringing to factories. So if you can basically explain on a day-to-day basis, for factory allocations, you are reconciling and then giving out bin allocations, right? How does it work? So if I want a particular tonnage to be DDR EU compliant, for the trading room team, is it going to be like a day-to-day email that we say, okay, this X amount coming to factory should be EUR, and then how does that process turn out? And then for the shipping outside, I'm assuming it will have to come with SIs or what? If you can just conclude on that part, that would be great. And then 2 clarifications, please. I think Faruk mentioned that now the scanning, you are scanning every single bag. So at the TOCs, it's sort of 100% extra time, right? You said if it's 1 hour, now it's 2 hours. I'm interested to know, currently, have you already started doing this? And how do you expect it to turn out, especially when we get into the actual, main crop season, which is October? Will this affect the amount or the volume of beans you can take in a day, or how, what are the projections? Should we be prepared for any lapses or delays? And then last, clarity, please. I think Faruk again mentioned that unless there will be some clearance or something, I'm not sure if I heard him right. Clearance are waiting for the European team also to give clearance before you can ship something. I don't know. And then later he went on to say 3%. I need clarity on that. I didn't hear you or understand that statement properly.
All right, Stella. So for export shipments, as part of shipping instructions, you would have to mention that you want the DDR certificate be issued as part of that particular parcel of cocoa you are shipping to the EU markets. And then for the factories, there has to be some communication as well to us on specific parcels that your LBC will be delivering to CMC. And then for the fee, there will be an invoice that also have the DDR code, which will give you access to their platform.
Okay, thank you very much. So now on the delays for the scanning, we've been at the port and speaking to the regional managers at the ports, we are taking a decision now. What it means is that we are doing 100% scanning at the port at the moment because at the beginning of the season, we had a lot of inflows that we did a paper trail to the port. So what it means is that a lot of keying is being done at the port. And for that matter, we needed to do 100% scanning there. Looking at the situation at the moment, we are deciding that going forward, once the scanning is done at the depot and it gets to the port and there is no rejection, then we are able to transmit the scanning that was done at the depot to the port so that it will curb the delay time. I think here 1 hour or doubling the time is too much. So that is the decision we are taking so that at the peak time, we wouldn't have that doubling of time in there again. So that is what we'll do. Once we do scanning up country, once we do scanning at the district, we would bring same thing to the takeover center. Once there is no rejection, then we continue with that. When it comes to clarity on getting a due diligence statement reference number before you ship, just as I told you, we did a dry run with the Netherlands Competent Authority. When you fill the online due diligence statement, it takes, depending on your country benchmarking. For us, it took about 2 weeks before we had response. Maybe it could be faster when we start the whole thing because we did it when EUDR was not in implementation. What it means is that you fill it. I wish I could show how the due diligence statement looks like. But there's a reference number that you are supposed to get from the EU Commission that you quote, that you need to quote on your document before you can send. So so what we are saying is that it depends on your country status. Your country status will say if we are only sampling 1% to scrutinize before we bring you a DDR reference number to give you clearance to send your cocoa to the EU market, then when you are low risk, it will take lesser time. When you are medium risk, it will follow as such. And when you are high risk, the delays would be more because a lot of scrutiny would have to be done. What we have said in Ghana is that if you know the activity that happens at the port, immediately the cocoa is stacked, we are able to generate a due diligence report for you to get the data that you would use to seek that clearance code from the EU system. So that DDR number that you need to get from the EU, we say that we will not wait until you are picking the cocoa to factory or you are picking the cocoa for shipment before that information is given to you. Immediately we stack that cocoa, we will generate the due diligence report immediately. Once that is generated, it will be given to you to start your process as the process also continues at the port. Because we're giving ourselves a week and 2 that because of our low risk, by a week and 2 time, you should have gotten clearance code from the EU system, and that will be attached for you to be able to do your shipment. So please, that is the explanation to what I was talking about, clearance from the EU system.
All right, so Isaac will take his turn.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Isaac from Cameroon participating. I followed through and came to understand that those bags are being scanned from the units where they've been collected, and in case of damages, because they have to be transported from the units down to the ports. In case of any damages, how do you manage the scanning record that has initially been saved in the system? Because since you scan the bags and it requires that these bags need to be changed due to some damage. So how do you handle this?
Okay.
So with that, we do what we call rebagging and retagging. What that means is that if there's a damage, it means the bag or the cocoa in a particular bag would have to be changed into a different bag. So for example, if the cocoa is in transit, there's been an accident. It means the cocoa in that particular bag may have been affected and there's a casualty. When we say casualty, it means the cocoa that was sealed has been tampered with during that accident. We'll have to recondition the cocoa and therefore rebag the cocoa. Once you do that, we retag by transferring the information on the previous tag onto the new tag, just so we maintain the integrity of the information on the next cocoa bag. So that's what we do. And we refer to that as retagging or rebagging.
So what Mike has said is in our standard operating procedure, so that it is standardized across board. Anywhere it happens like that, the retagging needs to be done.
All right, so Alex has a question. Alex Robin says, I appreciate the efforts and cost incurred by the cocoa board.
So you can see on the screen, there is an application for retagging. So the ones you see on the screen, that would help you do that.
Okay, so we take Alex Robert's question. I appreciate the efforts and cost incurred by the cocoa board to set up this system. However, you would agree with me that similar systems and works have been done by off-takers through LBCs. Is there an opportunity to align the unit form or shape to reduce the charge of $200?
No. Okay. That is a very interesting question. As for alignment, there is a lot of alignment that we are doing with the private partners, the LBCs, day in, day out. We have a very good relationship with the private partners, especially the LBCs. Nevertheless, what it means is that if you would want to have access in terms of a portal to be able to also see what we are doing, or if there is any integration anywhere on the way that you want it done, we are able to do that. But sir, looking at the initial cost that we have incurred so far, and looking at how holistic the whole system is to prevent cocoa from unknown origin entering the system, of which that is what EU is expecting of us to do. We'll plead with you that let's stay there. You know, it was more than 200, and you know, we magnanimity of management, we brought it to 200 per ton. So we are just pleading with you. If you have any further questions on collaboration and you joining our national system, kindly come and let's talk more. But let's leave the figure as it is at the moment and let's move on.
Was the CMS also makes provision for integration? So they can, no, not for integration. They have their portal that they are.
Okay.
Okay, so the CMS system that has been developed by Cocoa Board also has various portals for LBC and factories and buyers. So we don't need to integrate with your system.
Okay, so let's leave it there. Let's move on.
Another question from Faruk Kwansah Nyame. Can LBCs connect online from CMC to their system to receive details of DDS and polygon data?
Okay, so connection from CMC.
Due diligence data.
I mean, that is what we are saying, that some of this direct questions and integration, especially at our takeover centers, you would have to come for us to discuss. Okay, especially at the CMC point, that one you would have to come for us to discuss further. But you know, with an LBC having a portal to see what is expected of.
There's an LBC portal.
There is a portal that has been created for all of them at the ports, you know, at the depot all the way throughout. But if you want anything further than that, then you would have to come for us to discuss it.
All right, next question from Winston. It says, if the DDR is on request, does it mean exporters can generate their own DDR for shipping the cocoa based on their internal stability systems?
Yeah, this is where we are struggling to understand that how when the cocoa enters the cocoa board canopy, it's like you tracking, satellites. By the time you enter into a canopy, you lose the signal. So by you losing the signal at CMC warehouses for that number of days, how would you be able to generate your DDR? You wouldn't even know which cocoa is coming out at what point in time for you to say that this is what I put in and this is what is coming out. And these are internal regulations. So you would have to come for us to discuss what you have put there. Why is it that the latest questions are all open-ended ones?
Okay, let's take one from Francis again.
Okay. Yes. So from the presentation, of course, you indicated that in terms of deforestation, the country level is low risk. But regarding the other legal requirements, I don't know how the due diligence report is going to capture all those information, because I also know of the child labor part and land use and all of that. Is that all going to be, captured under the due diligence report in a manner that will be acceptable to the EU?
Oh, yes. Yes. For the land use, the land right aspect, yes, we have all that information captured. Please, now as it goes now, child labor is no longer in scope of the EUDR. Initially, we had integrated the child labor system with the deforestation risk monitoring system and the traceability system. We had done that, and they were speaking to each other, so that when we say your cocoa is EUDR compliant, you needed to be green with child labor and you needed to be green with deforestation. Then that goes. But we received, a clarity from the EU stating that, child labor is not in scope, and that would be possibly looked at when it comes to CS3D, the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive. So we are waiting. We are really, really working hard on the child labor system as well, so that in case at any point in time it is in scope, we just, add it on. So that is what it is. And the other legal requirements, yes, when you are looking at the low risk that we have, there are a number of, criteria that was used. Your deforestation rates, is that okay? Your how do you call it? Corruption index, is that okay? How the clarity in your commodity chain, how short your commodity chain is. When the commodity chain is long, the longer it is, the higher the infiltration of cocoa from unknown origin. So I'm sure it has come out that our commodity chain is short. When it comes to deforestation rates, it is good out of the period that was being looked at. When it comes to corruption index, I'm sure we are not doing bad. And adding all the other things together, that is what gave us that. So it is not just low risk for deforestation. It is low risk for everything about the country. So what it means is that they will take a look at 1% of our geolocations, and then when it comes to deforestation and other legal issues, they will tone down on them drastically because we are low risk. That is what it means.
All right, so you have two questions. The first one, thank you very much for breaking down the pricing. In the case of the EUDR benefits, lots by the CMC that appear to be EUDR non-compliant, retroactively once imported into the EU, the fee from the EU will be 4%.
Yeah.
The turnover of the importing company. What happens then?
Okay. So that is how come we are telling you that we have a system that would segregate non-EUDR compliant cocoa. We right away from the shared level, right away from the PC purchasing clerk point, we have a process of separating where conventional cocoa is supposed to be kept and where sustainable cocoa is to be kept. When it is in the track, we have an SOP to show how it should be separated. Once it gets to the depot, there is a way to separate it. Finally, when it gets to the takeover center, what we are saying is that one, we don't separate it at the same warehouse or shed. As we speak now, we have a shed at Tema that is solely for non-EUDR compliant cocoa. We have a shed at Takoradi that would store only non-EUDR compliant cocoa, and about 2 or 3 at 𝗘𝗨𝗃 Center, storing only non-EUDR compliant cocoa. Because of that, our system has segregated that. If you come or if we know that you are requesting for a EUDR compliant cocoa, there is no way we will give you, a non-EUDR compliant cocoa, because we have segregated that completely. All the system that we have built, we built it on the principle that we should be able to segregate compliant cocoa from non-compliant cocoa. So there's no way we would mix it and it will get to EU and it will come out that you have caused an illegality, and for that matter, 4% of your turnover would be the penalty for it. When it happens like that, why not? We will discuss. And I'm telling you that some of these things, when we're doing the dry run, it wasn't 100% straightforward. There were times that the competent authority had to come and ask for certain further information, and then we provided them. And we provided them. So as and when it happens, kindly come back. We will give you the system that was used, how we came about it, how we got forestry information, how we did the assessment, and how it got to that. So please, we don't think we will get there, but when we get there, what you need to do is to come back to us. We would work on this together.
Okay. So you have a second question now, which is, will there be a written communication on the terms of the certification and the scope of application, i.e., if not requested, the 238 USD is not charged?
Okay, so I guess we would liaise with CMC, and that communication would go through.
Then, okay. We take Alex again. He says, just to be clear, just to clear my curiosity, is it compulsory to use 𝗏𝗏 EUDR data for all shipments to the EU?
Yeah, for us, it's a yes. It's a straightforward yes. It will save you a lot. It will save you a lot.
Okay, we have another one from 𝗏𝗏_𝘁𝗁. How should a situation be resolved where a consignment from CMC is deemed EUDR compliant, but internal checks by LBCs identify a few plots within that consignment as non-compliant?
Okay, so when it happens like that, kindly come to us and let's all see the base data that was used and the sources. Is that okay? Because currently, as it stands now, we are using data from the Forestry Commission and the Survey and Mapping Division of Ghana. Is that okay? SMD. So if you have any other authority other than Forestry Commission and SMD in Ghana that will give you polygons of such nature, you come and then we scrutinize it and then we see what is appropriate. So please, Obed, kindly come and let's talk.
DDR1 and DDR2. Not touched.
For verification.
Yes,
Another somebody having DDR1 here. I want to ask to talk about DDR2.
From Wisdom, New Europe. It says, Faruk, smart idea for the possibility of eliminating a second scanning at the ports.
It came from the regional managers, not me.
The issue of cocoa flow is still slow from the PC's locations.
Simon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Fuad.
Hey, yes, sir. Mr. Fuad.
I think it's a point that we might have to check again with quality control if it doesn't compromise with our 3-tier quality checks one way or the other. Because even though the cocoa is tagged, there could be some filtration between the it came from QCC. Yeah, so it's something that we need to check so that we don't compromise our 3-tier quality system. Now, Simon, if I still have the permission, 2 quick points I want to make.
Have discussions on.
Go ahead.
Okay, so please, we will take a look at it again. But it came from QCC. So please, we are trying to organize a meeting for the 3 takeover centers, that is the regional managers for both CMC and QCC. So it will come up for us to frame it. Yes, sir.
Right.
So thank you very much.
That's fine. The first point is a response to a question that was asked by Ernest. It's important to also be clear that we didn't put up a system just for EUDR. What Ghana has done is to put up a traceability system that sort of integrates all the cocoa sourcing, quality control, and export procedures. And that is what we have done. And as Faruk mentioned, just about 5% of farms are at the moment classified as non-EUDR compliant. And that is because there are some additional checks and some additional information that is required. So our system is to ensure that all cocoa that moves out of Ghana is 100% traceable back to the farm and even back to the farmer. So that is the whole objective of the system. And I think in the earlier discussions, it has to do with integrating mobile payment system, credit insurance system. So it's a whole big system. Thankfully, we took the lead when the whole discussion about EUDR came in, because we've already started building up a system. Two is a question that Stella asked, and I think that is something that cuts across with all the processing factories. From the start, they might not know where the product would end up to, whether it's going through, let's give an example of cocoa mass leaving either 𝗚𝗵 or CPC or 𝗦𝘁 and going into Asia. What often happens in Asia is that it pressed powder, the dominant powder is left in Asia and the butter goes to Europe. Now, they might not have requests for a DDR from the start, but then when the cocoa is going into the EU, that will be required. So we need to make sure that we have that flexibility to accommodate some of these requests that might not come at the beginning, but then it will come towards the end. For processors, to make it easier, it is more important to know that, okay, you profile your clients and you think that the chunk of your cocoa will go, or your products will definitely go to Europe. Then you request for your DDR. And those will be my remarks. Thank you so much.
All right, well, thank you so much. We take a few more questions from the chat box. Winston asks, off-takers and exporters having their own internal traceability systems may also have satellite imaging partners with varying sensitivities and parameters. We've seen situations where plots have been identified as deforested, but they were doing rehabilitation exercises, be it cutting old crops or eliminating CSSVD. In this situation, how do you reconcile that information you talk about, because most of these exercises are forward-directed or balanced?
You see, that is how come we tell you that it is better to use our system. So when you look at the base satellite image classification map that would be used for the monitoring, Cocoa Board has been on this together with Forestry Commission and European Forest Institute and FAO. ENUST is validating that with Cocoa Board. We are on the way with all the processes and the procedures that we are going through to generate the map for monitoring. And you would agree with me, if you have an entity like Cocoa Board being with you, so that if it is Forestry Commission trying to create, a land cover map using satellite images, just as you have said, and we want to know the methodology that was used, we want to validate it and make sure that no cocoa farm is affected. This data would have access to it, and by the time it gets to the EU, we already know the nitty-gritties, how it was created, the methodology that it was used, what has been done correctly, and what is the accuracy level, and so on and so forth. All these processes we have gone through. And we are telling you that your internal systems, you were not with us when we were creating these maps. So it is easier for you to be with us. It is also easier for you to help us, do this, because when the cocoa enters CNC warehouses, we would have visibility on everything that is to be done. So I'm telling you, when you go to other jurisdictions, they didn't have an entity like COCOBOD. Because of that, they have just done their base map, and there are a lot of issues with it as we speak now. But our own, at a point in time, we were supposed to have published this in March. But then issues that have been raised that no, we don't understand this. So we have to go to the field to check. We have to look at this. We don't agree to this accuracy that you are bringing out with. All these things have been done so that anybody, anywhere who is also using satellite images to do any classification, we already have one that we understand the methodology that was used in creating it. So if you have yours and it is being challenged, we will bring ours and it's a national one. That is how come we are saying that, look, it is easier. Don't throw in any data and they say that they want to compare it with the COCOBOD data. And it comes out that you are found wanting when you are in Ghana. That is how come it is easier for you to come home. And let's travel this journey together. Because we have done almost every process together with all the entities that is expected. So that is the answer to Ernest.
All right, Francis has one more question. Francis, go ahead.
So I want to know, I think, moving forward, how do we get on the system? Because yes, at the moment, to be honest with you, our customers in the EU are knocking on our doors as to how prepared, we are for the EUDR. And so I would want to know whether we would have to arrange a visit for the technical team on our site, or we have to probably come there and get our system, get set up, for the EUDR.
Okay, so kindly initiate a request formally to the Deputy Executive Operations, and we'll take it off from there immediately, because we are waiting for people like you. So kindly start it and we'll be with you.
All right, thank you. You can take over. There are no further questions in the chat box.
Okay, Fuad, please, your concluding remarks and prayer for us to close. A UK prayer, of course.
Well, we didn't start with the prayer, but most importantly, to the last point to the last ask that was made. What we can say is that we have an open door policy, and the objective of this whole process is to let stakeholders understand what we have done, the system that we have put in place. And again, any stakeholder that is interested in a visit to start even from the farm gate to see how the whole process ends at CMC port is welcome to reach out to us or through the trading room, and we can arrange a visit. I think it's something that clients do regularly to sort of basically audit their supply chain. So we'll have an open door policy where we welcome all stakeholders to join us through this journey. In concluding, we'll just have to say a very big thank you to all of us who made time to join us this afternoon or this day to go through this process. The feedback that we have received is very, very positive, and it is for us to enhance the system to make it easier for everyone. That is not to say that we have a perfect system, so we still welcome clarifications and recommendations on how we can make the system much, much better. With this, we'll say a big thank you internally to the technical team, to the CMC team, and all those who made this discussion possible. When the system starts, or when the EUDR starts in December or on 30th December 2025, any queries that you have, the CMC team is ready to assist. If something that goes beyond them, we'll bring in the technical team to also assist us to answer some of these queries. So we say a big thank you and enjoy the rest of your day or your night, depending on where you are today. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.